Hey up everybody, welcome back to the I'll Do Cycling YouTube channel, where today I'm going to be doing a review of my VELOGAME team, which the competition just finished yesterday, and we're going to be taking a look at my team and also the different riders that perhaps people could have chosen to see who was ultimately the best picks for you to have put onto your team. But this is the team that I went with. We finished 757th out of just over 30,000 people, so as a ratio it's probably one of my better Grand Tour performances, but it's still got room for improvement, and I'll certainly kind of mention that as I'm going through the team. But Pogačar was the highest scoring rider of anybody, so he was of course the best choice if you were to have picked either one of Jonas or Pogačar. Yates was really good as well, third place in GC, one of his best performances ever in a Grand Tour, 150 points per rider credit, so really good performance from Yates, great choice for a lot of teams. Ciccone perhaps a little bit disappointing just because the KOM classification doesn't give you that many points, and he went into the breakaway quite a lot, got points in the KOM classification but then went back to the peloton, so he didn't really get a lot of points in terms of stages, which was really the big downfall of Ciccone not getting a lot of points. It might have been better to go for somebody who was a bit more of a stage hunter. Hindley almost got 1,500 points, so he didn't hit the 100 points per rider credit, but he ultimately scored a lot of points, which is really important to actually helping me get over 10,000 points, which, you know, ultimately that's the aim, is to try and hit over 10,000 points in a lot of the Grand Tours. So obviously we've hit that goal in this one. Philipsen was absolute gold dust, getting almost 2,000 points, green jersey since like day 4 or 5 or something like that, and yeah, just so many top 10s, it's almost a bit crazy. Pidcock was the best unclassified rider by far, better than Van der Poel, so my logic did stand up in picking Pidcock over Van der Poel in terms of he would be more of a GC threat and more of a stage hunter than Van der Poel. And then the last three, Peters, Morkov and Kristoff, weren't particularly great. I expected Kristoff to be sprinting on Champs-Elysees, but he didn't. He was on lead-out duty. That was pretty disappointing. And then Morkov and Peters, there were better choices, but I stand by my kind of reasoning behind them. But obviously I could have gone with a safer choice of a VELOGAME. Going to the Audi Cycling League, I'll give a shout out to the person who won, which is Charlie J. He beat Mr. Goofy Pro Cycling and Last Again, Ron and Joe. Joe, of course, thank you for putting that comment in the last video explaining your team, but of course Charlie has pipped you to the line. Charlie's team containing Pogačar, Bilbao, Ciccone, Yates, Philipsen, Adam Yates and Pidcock. Zimmerman as well, who got a couple of top 10s, so a very well-rounded team. Bilbao actually was the highest efficiency rider. He got the most points per rider credit. I think he got about 175 points per rider credit, which is incredible. So he was the best pick in theory to have gone with, and I am happy that I recommended him to a lot in my video, but I didn't take my own advice. Obviously it would have been cool if I would have gone with, say, Felix Gall instead of Ciccone, and then put those 2 points onto Kristoff to get Bilbao. That would have been really cool. Or just do a straight swap of Ciccone with Simon Yates, which, speaking of which, let's go take a look at the rider standings. Of course, Pogačar did get the most points, followed by Jonas Vingegaard very closely. But that does mean that Pogačar, because he was 2 credits less, was a better pick in theory if you were to have picked just one of the two. Philipsen, best sprinter by far. Yates, the Yateses actually were very high scoring as well. Hindley, Bilbao, Gall, Rodriguez, Wout van Aert and Pedersen. You actually find that there's quite a gap between Pedersen and Pidcock, interestingly, of about 400 points, which is a bit weird, isn't it, that nobody's really between 1,000 to 1,300 points, but just a weird observation there. And you actually find that of the top scoring riders, if you take, say, the top 10, a lot of them are GC riders. You know, you've got Pogačar, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then Wout van Aert and Philipsen make up 9 and 10. So of the 10 highest scoring riders, 8 of them were GC riders, which is really kind of the lesson to take from this, is that the GC riders are always the highest scoring ones. So perhaps a lot of us thinking about putting a sprinter into that second wildcard slot were actually, maybe that wasn't the best choice. We should have been thinking a bit more laterally about more GC riders. And you actually see that when you look at the unclassified rider category, there's not a lot of value in there, which I find quite surprising, because usually that's where you find a lot of the differentials. But you'll find this time around that aside from Pidcock getting about 940 points, only Mohoric was the one who breached the 100 points per rider credit, and only just by 1 point. Nobody else hit it, not even Kwiatkowski, Asgreen or Victor Lafay, all of whom won stages. So actually it was best to save your credits and invest them into the all-rounder, climber and sprinter category rather than putting them into the unclassified rider category, which is just another interesting observation to take out of this tour. But we'll take a look at the best team to try and learn a few lessons from this person's team. They got over 12,000 points. I think somebody who I know called Jeremiah, he posts on Twitter about the optimal teams that you can go with, and I think the optimal team could get something like over 13,000 points. So we're all still a little bit away from that, but what you can tell is that the best team, despite the intricacies of you can make a team and try and save credits and spread them out, actually, at the end of the day, the best team had Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogačar in there, which is a bit of a slap in the face because you do try and think that, oh, I'm going to try to save credits and then invest them in better places, but actually that wasn't the case this time round. It was just better to go with the two favourites and then back that up with Simon Yates in 4th place. Felix Gall as well was a good choice. Jasper Philipsen and Cockard. But yet again, you see that the unclassified rider category, apart from like Abla Hansen, you know, they're just not really scoring that many points, which is again quite an interesting thing to take forwards into La Vuelta a España, which will of course be happening in about a month's time. But we've got some Super Classico races to go before then. There's also going to be Tour of Polonia as well, so be sure to subscribe to stick around for those sorts of things, and put in the comments down below any sort of final comments that you're thinking about this competition. If you were happy, sad, relieved, whatever, put it all in the comments down below. And all that is left to say is to stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next video. Salut!